Welcome to another episode of Indie Darlings, the podcast. I'm Knives Monroe. How are you guys doing? Hopefully, you're doing well. With me today, I have Christian Jaramillo. Did I say your name right, sir?
You did actually. That's the first time. Usually people say like
Woo!
Carlo or something else.
All right. Well, it's because I'm part of the tribe. You know what I mean? Like, definitely know where you're coming from. I grew up in South Texas, so I saw your name. I think I knew how to pronounce the J. But thank you so much for joining me today, sir. I really appreciate that. Today we're going to be talking about Without a Stage, or something in between, which is a short film that Christian wrote and directed. Before we get into that, sir, I want to ask you, when was the moment you realized you were a filmmaker?
Yikes. I always say when I was like 13, I loved films. I was since I was like since I was a little like kid, I was always like with a little camera. I used to like just play. I used to like edit within the camera. You know, like some point shoots back then, you can literally just like kind of hold and edit and stuff like that. So I was doing that since a long time. But I didn't really get into it until I was like 19, until like 20ish. You know, after I went to college and I went to a marketing firm and everything like that. And then I decided like, oh no, I don't like this. I'm gonna start doing what I want to do. So that's basically how it happened.
How do you come up with your ideas?
I don't know. Sometimes they're so random. Like I have like a notebook with me at all times. They're just kind of like just pop in my brain. I'm like, oh okay, write that down. And but honestly, I would say like the best source of like my ideas is like whenever I'm going on a run. Like I'm just listening to music and like there's no like there's no what's it called? There's no like constructive like thinking like what's it called? Yeah, when I was just running, there's no forward brain thought. It's just like oh I'm just thinking of ideas, and then I'm able to just come up with something whether I like it or not, and then it's just like oh that's an idea, you know, mainly from running.
I was really impressed with your movie. It was so professionally well done. It looked like someone who had been in the business for 20 years made it.
Thank
But at the same time, you've been doing this for less than 10 years. So I'm curious, what is the biggest failure, if any at all, that you've had as a filmmaker?
um, there's so many. It's like it's just an uphill battle of failures. I work also like in production in terms of like with filmmaking and stuff like that. But that wasn't even a big failure. I don't know. There's like so many things that happen that's just wrong. But for that film especially, like it's just everything was just going wrong. Like I'm trying to think of a really big failure, but I don't know. Every single production I've ever done, something huge happens where like I just like oh it's out of my control, and all I can do is just like kind of push through. Um, yeah, I don't know. Even in terms of like, funding, like even right before this film started, um, my dog got a heat stroke, and then I had to put all my funds that I was saving up for the movie onto her treatment. So I was like, that took away like half of the budget, and I was just like dealing with pennies at that point. Um, yeah, I don't know. I feel like every production deals with a huge failure. What do you mean exactly by failure? Like in terms of production or just in general filmmaking?
I'll give you one for me. I worked with a couple of producers who stole my money. They stole 8 grand of
Oh,
my money, and it really sucked and it hurt. And I look at that as a colossal failure. But I blame myself in a lot of ways because you have to audit the people that you work with. But at
right,
the
right.
same time, I look at that as one of my biggest failures. That's me personally. So has there been like a big fat L for you in your career thus far?
Like I said, I feel like it's just a continuous L. But I think just pushing through. That's like what it is. I don't know if you know. There's this one writer that I truly love a lot. His name is Franz Kafka. I don't know if
Of
you're
course,
familiar with his
of
work.
course.
Yeah, and the main thing of Kafka is like being in odds that are just so against your favor, and just still fighting, still pushing through, still getting up and just like trying to seize the day. And I feel like that's all you can do because like there's many times I'm just like, oh, I want to just quit, but I just can't. You know, there's no way I can. Like this is what I'm built for. This is what I want to do. This is my passion, and to do anything else would just seem rudimentary. You know.
What's the greatest success that you've received as a filmmaker so far? However you define success.
Definitely the people I've met. I'm from Miami, so like the film community here is not that big. It's there. There's some people far in between, and I've met a lot of pieces of you know, kickers.
Of
I don't know.
course.
I've been a lot of pieces of shit down here. A lot of people that have used me, and again, like have abused me, and I've worked with companies, like big companies down here, that has just like completely just ruined me, and they really like tarnished a little bit of like what I feel with film and like with like production and just that world. But I have met, few and far between people that it's just amazing, and I'm so grateful that I've met these people that are here, like supporting me, and like those people mean a lot to me. And like where I met this one person, his name is Joel McNeil. He's a DP down here in Miami, and just the best person in the world. Who's like he kind of like brought me in under his wing and taught me so much. Um, yeah, I don't know. That is what having like a community around me of people who like actually want to make movies and actually just want to build stuff. That's been a really good success. That I've been like, I'm still building that today. I'm still trying to like find more people, because like I said, Miami's just like kind of a very clicky state. I don't know if that's how it is in other places. I'm sure it is too,
Of
but like
course.
it's so incredibly clicky. Like all the people what's it called, who are in production, who are really in the industry, they're just like, eh. And I get it because you're just like some newer guy who's like trying to do something. You're just like trying to like break in. They're like, who are you? So I
Hmm.
get it, but I wish there was more of a camaraderie. I wish there was more people just like actually just like, hey, it's not like we're not trying to stab each other. We're just trying to build something together.
I
So,
know. I'm in Austin, Texas, and it's very clicky over here too. It's hard to break in, and everybody is an island unto themselves. And I've been here for, gosh, the better part of 10 years, and I still don't feel like I'm in. But at the same time, like you said, you build a community around you, and then, you try to remember not to be so gatekeepery yourself, right? So,
yeah, no, for sure. And I've definitely been like kind of like diluting that with myself because for a while I was like, oh, that's not film, or like whenever someone's like new or something, I'm just like, oh, that's not how you do it. And then I'm like, I literally started with just making videos on my iPhone, and
yep.
that's how I really started. I was like making little videos for my family when I was visiting in Europe with my ex girlfriend at the time, and I was just like kind of like editing, learning how to edit on my MacBook, using iMovie and whatever, like I mean, like I don't know, like I've definitely like been learning more to just like whatever you can do to make something, that's awesome. I'm like I can't never just like bring it down for whatever reason. Maybe I don't resonate with it, but like it doesn't mean it's bad. You know?
Yeah. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received as a filmmaker?
I think I don't know as a filmmaker, but definitely just as a creative. I have a mentor that I what's it called? Sorry, my father is yelling in the background. I don't know if you can hear
That's okay.
him.
My mother-in-law is vacuuming upstairs, so of course they
Okay.
decide to do this right when we get started, so it's all good.
No, no, that's fine. Just like it's just like distracting. ADHD for sure. That's the thing I have. What was the question again? Sorry.
The best advice you've ever received as a creative.
Oh yes. Definitely. Another like mentor of mine that I met because I used to be in a photography background here in Miami. I used to shoot a lot of photography. That's kind of what I got into first. Then I kind of did more film, even though I did videos since forever. Um, I was just shooting like it was a lot of swimwear stuff. But then I met some people through studios, and there's one guy I don't know if I should say his name, but he's a mentor of mine, and he's amazing. Um, and he's in New York. And what he told me is just like he kind of like ripped me a new asshole when he's like looking at my work. He's like, "This is not you. This is not. What are you doing? Like this is just like you're just trying to conform to whatever it is people around you are doing." And like him saying like you got to find exactly what you are, and that's like a huge journey within yourself. Every creative, every artist, you have to find out who you are so you can really truthfully and like authentically express it. you know and he was telling me that like whatever you like, whatever you want to see, make that. Don't make something that's already been made. Don't make something that's already like kind of been like. And he's talking to me in terms of photography, but I took it in terms of like with everything else. It's just like with writing, even like with filmmaking, directing, like. And that's what I've been on like this past year too. Like I feel like I had a huge revelation, even though without a stage, I feel like it was like I'm proud of it, but definitely it kind of like knocked me in my ass a little bit. Like just that whole production, that whole thing sent me back a bit. because all like self-financed, and like just looking at it and like I'm proud of it. I'm so happy with it and everything like that. But it definitely made me realize I'm like, oh yeah, I need to just really hone in on that. Like, what is me? You know, like what can I do to express exactly how I am as a person? It's not necessarily like writing what you know. It's like writing what you feel. You know, and just like kind of putting that out there. And for me, at least, I feel like that has been a huge thing for me, at least, like with terms of like filmmaking or anything creatively. How that advice just I feel like it's just shaped me up to the way where I am right now, and I feel like it has helped me out with clients. It has helped me out with just even in terms of like creativity and making stuff. I think it sets me out a little bit, you know, just to really connect to the like authenticity of like what you are, you know.
I'm all about authenticity. I've been on a big kick about that. If it's not authentic, it's plagiarism. That's what I say. What's advice that you would give filmmakers that you wish that they would take? Maybe they won't take it because they're too young or too old or too ignorant or too motivated by something else. But what's advice that you wish filmmakers would take?
Um, don't PA. Maybe I don't know if you know if you're young enough, um, and you know exactly what you want to do, which is rarely the case. But if you are lucky enough to be like in your teenage years and like I want to be a director, freaking fucking just tunnel vision, focus on like getting to great film school and meeting people. Because like not even like that, like I mean, granted, I learned so much on my own, and like I am self-taught, like with everything I did. But the biggest regret I have is like not being around that community of people who want to make stuff. You know, it's been harder because I had to like really find it, and I guess things play out for a reason. But I feel like it would have helped me out just a little bit more, just to kind of like steamroll through all the stuff that I didn't really need to learn. You know, there's so many things that I like kind of like recently I had to just like kind of drop this and drop that because I'm like that doesn't really serve me at all. Like what I've learned in this type of industry for like photography or fashion and stuff like that. And just make a lot of films, meet cool people who want to make films, and digest everything. Like don't just make films, also just like be a film. That sounds so cliche, but like it's just like life, everything around you, like it can be a movie, and you have to really be open to just ingesting it all, you know. And I feel like a big thing that helped me out a lot was like that I dated a girl from France, and then I was able to go to Europe a bunch, and then that definitely shaped me for who I am today. Just like how I see the world and how I view things, and like just viewing everything, just ingesting as much as you can and make as much as you can, and that's what you can do.
So we're just about to get into Without a Stage. There's a lot of movies that it reminded me of, and a lot of filmmaking techniques, and just it's so ubiquitous. The language is so ubiquitous. But I'm curious, who are some of your greatest influences, and who singularly do you want to especially highlight from those influences?
Um, I'm trying to think of the pretentious answers or like the just honest ones.
Give me
Um,
the authentic
yeah,
answers.
obviously. I would say Christopher Nolan. I like his style so much and just like his concepts. Even Denis, I always pronounce his name incorrectly. Denis Villeneuve.
Villeneuve. Mm-hmm.
Villeneuve. He's, he's been on just a great track record past like I don't know how many years, but like he has anything coming out of that man has been amazing. David Fincher. Yeah, I definitely took a lot from Memento with this movie a
Mm-hmm.
bit. It's kind of like I look back into it now. I'm like, oh, I wish I did a little different things and kind of did more like that. But yeah, um, for this film in particular, that inspired me, you said, or just in general?
In
Or
general, for sure.
oh, this is honest. I really love Charlie Chaplin. That's like one of my favorite. He's like an actor, filmmaker.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. One of my favorite movies ever is City Lights,
Mm.
and it's all silent. It's just a silent movie about a man trying to get the woman of his love of his life new eyes, you know, and he goes through all these adventures. And it's not necessarily groundbreaking at all, but it's just like I don't know. I always cry at the end of that movie. I always think it's such a beautiful, beautiful movie. Um, and
You answered my next question, which was what was an underrated movie that you wanted to point to that's one of your favorites that people don't really talk about often? What's another one?
I think, dang it, I can't. I'm going blank right now. I'm trying to think of all underrated movies. Mm.
I think Memento is one of those underrated movies, and
You
I
think
have
so?
a
I
I
think
think
Memento.
so. I
Really, I
think
think
I
Memento's so
think
famous.
people pay attention to Nolan, the modern Nolan, like Dark Knight and on. People forget about The Prestige. They forget about Insomnia. They forget about Following and Memento, in my opinion. So that
I mean, I
brings.
guess it's underrated for sure, that one. Or anything that, no, Fincher's not underrated at all. I can't say anything like that. He's like super, super. Yeah, like, I don't know. Even Denny, I feel like Prisoners, is that underrated? No, I can't be.
No,
But
people love Prisoners.
I know, like, I'm trying to think. Because I know his name has definitely gotten bigger since Dune. But I remember people wouldn't like, no, I remember Arrival. Do people know that movie? I'm sure people know. That movie,
It
I love
was
that movie so much.
it was
Um,
nominated for an Academy Award. I felt like it got
yes,
its flowers for sure.
yeah, I'm trying to think now, like underrated. I can't. I'm sure it's gonna pop up
Well,
like.
so let's talk about Without a Stage because I wrote a list. I mean, that movie tripped me out, man. Like it
Really?
really tripped me. I wasn't ready for it. I'm on this tremendous journey right now where I have the privilege to interview indie filmmakers. It's my passion to just interview them, and I've been seeing a lot of influences, and I've been seeing like post-apocalyptic movies, comedies, things of that nature. But this was the first one that I'd seen in a while that was sort of a mind fuck.
Oh, sorry. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to cut you off. This
That's
is kind
great.
of sorry. Adaption. Is that an underrated
I,
movie?
Charlie
Or,
Kaufman or
yeah.
Spike Jones.
Directed by Spike Jones, but written by Charlie Kaufman.
That one's a head trip too, man, for sure. That's a
Yeah.
great one. Nobody talks about that movie
No,
at
no,
all.
I love the movie. Sorry, because that definitely inspired a bunch. Sorry, it's just
I'm gonna
don't.
name a few movies, and you tell me if these were influences on Without a Stage.
Okay, go ahead.
Memento,
Mm.
Joker.
No, no, not really. I don't people say
What
that. I think it's because of the
what,
makeup. We'll talk
what
about that
about
later.
yeah, the makeup for sure. What about also the unreliable narrator? Is something I thought about
Mm.
too.
Mm.
What about Bronson?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. What about Doom Patrol? It's a HBO show.
Sorry, my dog just.
That's okay.
Okay. Doom Patrol.
Yeah,
Sorry. Hold on. Sorry for interrupting.
that's okay.
Just gonna go crazy. Okay. Doom Patrol. No.
Okay. What about Birdman?
Yes. Birdman. I love
Fight.
it.
What about Fight Club?
I don't know if it definitely inspired that movie in particular, but it definitely inspired me. So
Yeah.
maybe it's just residual, like by proxy.
So we mentioned the unreliable narrator. In your opinion, I don't know if you can answer this, or I don't know if you want to answer this, but it's been driving me crazy when it comes to your picture. Who's the main protagonist?
Um, I kind of want to leave that for interpretation, you know. But to me,
Fair.
I can answer. What's it called? It's definitely Alden. He's the main guy.
Okay.
He's the one that's kind of dealing with all the stuff. But yeah,
What's
it's
the
a
th-
little
what's the theme of your movie in one word for you?
duality.
Yeah, it's the way the picture started with that. I don't want to go into too many crazy spoilers because I want people to be able to watch this movie. If it's a public link on Vimeo, they're more than
Yeah.
welcome to check the show notes down below. Check it out for yourself. I'm curious. This is kind of more of I'm a filmmaker as well, so I'm interested in these sorts of questions. There are so many setups in this movie for a short film. Most people do the sort of one location short film, things of that nature. How many shooting days did this movie take?
It took 6 days, and I did it within. Cause I was the hardest thing, and because also I produced it and I edited it, I did everything.
Wrote it as well.
I wrote it as well, but my friend helped me write it too. Wrote it.
Tremendous actor as well.
Yeah, no, great guy. I love him so much. What was the question again? Sorry, ADHD. How many days?
How many shooting days? Yeah.
Yeah, it took 6 days.
6.
But the hardest part, especially when you're indie, is getting people's schedules. You know, and I was telling myself, okay, like hopefully people's weekends, but sometimes people's weekends are awful too. But luckily, everyone's weekend was well. So on the month of September of last year, 2021, everyone was free those 2 weekends. So we just filmed it the first one weekend, I believe September 9th, and then the next week is September 14th, something like that. And then we were able to get everything. I think it was a total, I don't know how many locations. 5, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. What was the budget of the movie and how did you pay for it?
Um, it was around 4,000, and all self-financed. I asked some family members to help me out if they could. My sister gave me a grand for my birthday because my birthday's on July 28th. So it was like a month before we actually started production. She was like, "Oh, here," because also like this dog right here, he kind of took away a big chunk of it
Yeah.
because she just had
Heat
this really,
stroke.
yeah, a little heat stroke during the summer. Just almost died on me.
I'm
That's a
glad they're
little.
okay.
Yeah, she's okay. She's okay. She's a little stupid, but okay.
Where did the idea come from of this movie? Like, how did you? What did you start with? What was the first germ?
To be honest, it started off as a comedy.
Wow.
It was an idea making fun of actors, which I always think is funny because I studied acting as well, and I got into theater, and that's a huge background in myself as well. I love theater, um, but I hate the egos that come along with acting. Especially, there's ego everywhere in this industry, but especially with acting, it's just like it's very inauthentic. All these actors, and I remember I was writing something kind of just making fun of actors, basically, but it's just felt in poor taste because it was the kind of the same theme, same more or less like on multiple personalities, but like it just seemed a little like a little disrespectful. So, and also it's really hard to do comedy. That's something I'm like trying to really learn right now too, and like, really like hunker down in because comedy is not easy. It's like to make a joke and then make it land, you know? Exactly. It's just,
Yeah.
it just sucks. And then we, like, it's just, cause I remember I wrote like one of the first drafts. It was a comedy, and I had like a little cold read, a little table read, and I was like, oh, I need to scrap this whole freaking project. This is awful. Like every joke was not landing, and everyone was just kind of like, is this supposed to be funny? I was like, oh, I don't know. Like this is, and I just had to re-scrap everything, redraft everything. So, yeah.
You said you started making movies with your iPhone. This film was shot with the red Komodo. Why?
Yes. Because my friend offered it. What's it called? Like I said before, Joel McNeil. He's an awesome, awesome person. He helped me out a lot, and he has a red Komodo just on standby. So he was telling me, do you want to use a black magic or do you want to use a Komodo? I kind of wish I used a black magic, to be honest, because the footage on the red Komodo was just like unbearable, and that was another thing I had to like learn because I edit everything on my MacBook since like last year. Until recently, I just decided to like get a whole PC set up just to edit this film, and now I can also edit with everything else. So yeah.
Well, I want to talk about the afterlife of this movie. When did it go public? When did you go public with it? Talk to me about once it was finished and you wrapped. I'm sure I'm projecting maybe you hosted a private screening for the talent that put their hard work into it. Maybe you showed some family and friends, people that you wanted to see. But did it go the film festival route? What was the afterlife of the movie? Where does it live now? And how do you quantify the shelf life of the movie? You know, like when is the journey done for you with this picture?
It's been done. I feel like, granted, like this was it was definitely my first big short that I ever did. You know, I'm so used to doing like little like fashion videos or like commercials or music videos, but I told myself I need to make a film. I need to just make a film and shut up, you know, and not be so scared about it. Um, but it definitely went the film festival route. I got accepted to a few. One was the Paris Cinema Award, then the LA Film Fest, I believe. Um, they won some awards. They got some, you know, little laurels and stuff like that. But to be honest, I was really just like, I feel like I was so drained after it that I just kind of wanted to just like be done with it. I don't know. I didn't get a private screening because that's something about me that I kind of like, I still struggle with is like, I guess the ego of an artist, you
Yeah.
know, and I didn't want to like pay for a screening. I didn't want to do all this stuff.
Hmm.
Just that like my family and friends just like kind of like jerk me off. Just be like, oh yeah, great. You know, I want people to be honest about it. I want people to tell me critiques and be like, oh no, this you failed here, or no, you didn't do so good here, and that's great. You know, I don't want to. I don't see benefit in that. You know, but I've been learning to just like have little celebrations because as an artist, especially like when you're just coming up and like there's so much work that goes into it, and there's like no reward. So like celebrating those little wins are important. So if I can go back, I probably would do a little private screening just to like kind of be like, okay, look what we did. We spent a lot of time and effort on this, and we should celebrate it. And Bella, shut your mouth. Sorry.
No.
So now that the movie, you're kind of done with it, it's been done, like you said. What's next?
Right now I'm writing a bunch, working a bunch. I'm actually working with more writers today because I told myself because I got into a big block after this. To be honest, it was kind of rearing its ugly head near me, kind of like okay, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? What's the next thing? And there's a million ideas I have, and then it's just like I would write like maybe up to like 15 pages, and then I'll come up with a different idea. I'm like, well, that one's better, and then I'll just kind of do that. And there's a billion drafts I have that are like either unfinished or I have like one drafts of like feature scripts. I definitely want to do a feature, and there is one story in mind that I have that has been like haunting me for the past 4 years because I wrote it in school a while ago. So I definitely want to do that one next. It's basically about a deranged painter who's chasing his magnum opus. You know, that's what I want to do, but the script is just not there yet. You know, and that's why I've been kind of like incorporating or trying to work with more writers because I'm like, all right, maybe if I can work with other people, maybe we can actually collaborate. And like, I wouldn't be. Sorry, sorry to interrupt you again.
That's okay.
All right, yeah, let's go. You're being distracting. Yeah.
Bye, Bella.
Bye, sorry, Bella. Come on. Okay.
You guys gotta watch this on camera. It's great.
Do you edit these at all, or is this like straight to the?
It's a podcast, so I usually kind of just kind of do an intro outro. That's about it.
Oh, okay,
All this is in the episode for sure.
Okay, great. Okay, fantastic. Dang it, I forgot the question.
Well, I like your idea with what you want to do as a feature. You think that's going to be the next thing for you?
It's been something that I've been working on for a while, so like I really hope it is. It's essentially like I don't want to say it's an autobiography, but it definitely is a lot of it me in there, and it's something that's been very personal because it has to do a lot with like mental health and stuff like that in terms of anxiety. Because I feel like a lot of creatives are just riddled with it, you know, with this what they call the self-critic of trying to create something and also just trying to be free and liberated. So that's definitely something I want to work on. I've been working on it, but it's kind of just taking its time. Sure
where can people support you and find you on the internet and watch your movies and see what you're up to next?
You can support me, I guess, by just watching my stuff or just, I guess, following on Instagram. I don't know. I don't have a YouTube. I have a Vimeo. It's on my link on Instagram. So there's a little link over there. Would be like, you can put it or should I just say it?
Right. Yeah, we'll have it down here, over here with you, and people can support and watch Without a Stage or something in between on your Vimeo. Is that public?
Yeah, it's been public since this past July because I decided to it had a little festival run, and I think it was that moment where I just decided like, okay, it's done. You know, like I'm over it. I can't. Because like I feel like if you don't release it, if you never really make it public, it stays with you, and you're just like you're still like holding on to it. Whereas if you just publicly release it, like okay, it's done. Have fun, watch it. Whatever happens now, it's on its own. And it's like kind of liberating because you're like okay, now I can really move on to the next one, you know, and I can really kind of do something else. So yeah, it's public. It's on Vimeo.
That's awesome. So I definitely encourage the listeners to check it out. That movie really tripped me out. If it hasn't piqued your interest, I definitely think you should watch it. I recommend it. I want to thank Christian Hamido so much for coming onto the podcast. It means the world to me, sir. I appreciate you. I'm going to be keeping an eye out for you in the future of your career because I think you're somebody to keep an eye on for sure. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. And for the listeners, you can find me at Knives Monroe on all the things, at Indie Darlings on all the things. Love you guys. Keep a force field around your heart, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.